Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. We are studying the minerals, and today it's a very important mineral, sulfur. As you know, it's a macro mineral. Macro mineral, you must know that what is the macro mineral? Macro mineral, the daily requirement of the inorganic material or the mineral which is more than 100 milligram per day is called the macro mineral or the principal element. You can say it as the principal element. It is mostly present in the organic form. Basically, this is inorganic substances, but because it's a part of the amino acids, protein, so it is mostly present in the organic form. Methionine, cysteine and cysteine. Methionine, cysteine and cysteine. Cysteine are three sulfur-containing amino acids present in the protein. But cysteine is basically a derivative of cysteine derivative, and it is obtained by the oxidation of two cysteine molecules, which are then linked with the disulfide bond, SS bond. Other macro minerals, you know the other macro minerals, there are 7 macro minerals other than sulfur: potassium, sodium, chloride, magnesium, phosphorus and calcium. These are the 7 macro minerals. Generally, proteins contain 1% of sulfur by weight. Inorganic sulfates of sodium sulfate, potassium sulfate, magnesium sulfate, but these are not available in food for utilization. Sulfur containing amino acids are very essential for structure conformation and biological functions of the proteins. These are, as you know, that the enzymes, the hormones, these are all proteins. So the sulfur containing amino acids, these are very important in some enzymes, in some hormones, and it's also part of the proteins which are forming the structure of the body. The disulfide link mean SS link, and the sulfur-hydryl groups, SH group, sulf-hydryl group, disulfide bond SS and sulf-hydryl groups SH, and these are basically making these are responsible for these making links in the enzymes and hormones and proteins. Disulfide bridges keep polypeptide units together. As we know that proteins are basically, these are the polypeptide chains, and these disulfide links, sulfur-sulfur links, they keep them units. For example, the keratins, chondroitin sulfates, which are, you studied the gags in the cartilage and bone, and then the plasma protein, immunoglobulin, most important. Keratins are rich in sulfurs. Keratin basically, you know, it's present in the hair and nail, and itself is rich in sulfur. These are the basically biochemical functions in the body. You can relate it. Many enzymes and biologically active compounds contain sulf-hydryl groups at the active site. For example, the dehydrogenases and the glutathione. Dehydrogenase, D, remover of hydrogen atom. It means the enzyme which are used for the removal of hydrogen enzymes, and these are the enzymes that catalyzes the removal of the hydrogen atoms, specifically in electron transport chain. you will study inshallah second year when you will study the metabolism. Electron transport chain, it is basically a tool for the formation of the ATPs. ATPs are being formed in the electron transport chain, and here these and dehydrogenase enzymes are used in the electron transport chain in the redox reaction. Redox means reduction and oxidation reactions. And in which there is the NADH will be oxidized to NAD and FADH to will be oxidized to FAD. Then the glutathione. Glutathione is an antioxidant. It means that glutathione, there is a sulfur present in the glutathione. It is made up of the glutathione sulfur, and if there is a deficiency of the sulfur, there will be the glutathione deficiency. It means that there is the antioxidant activity will be very much lowered. Antioxidative and antioxidants are very much important for our body functions. Why? As we know that there are many free radicals, reactive oxygen species with the unpaired electron, and they can form the unwanted compounds which are dangerous for the body. So the glutathione acts as the antioxidant to counteract that reactive oxygen species. Then thiamine. Thiamine, as you studied, it is the vitamin B1, which is a part of the vitamin B complex. And you know its deficiency. The very important disease, the beriberi and Wernicke's Korsakoff syndromes. Beriberi, you know the dry and wet beriberi. Dry in which the dermatitis, in which the skin is hot, and wet beriberi disease, there is the involvement of the cardiac involvement. And when there will be the deficiency of the sulfur, there will be the deficiency of the thiamine, and these diseases can occur. Then the biotin. Biotin also is the part of the vitamin B complex, and it is a coenzyme in the carboxylation reactions. We will study inshallah in second year carboxylation. Carboxylation means that induction of the carbon atom from the carbon dioxide. It's very much important in certain metabolic reactions, and it acts as a coenzyme. Lipoic acid. It is also essential in the metabolism, aerobic metabolism. Then the coenzyme A, sulfhydryl. These are the coenzyme having role in the synthesis and oxidation of fatty acids. Synthesis when it is required, and degradation when energy is required. Glucose is not available, and this fatty acid, there will be the oxidation of the fatty acid, and in the gluconeogenesis, the new glucose formation from the other than the carbohydrates group. Then the taurocholic acid, bile acid, it also contains sulfur. Then the phosphoadenosine phosphorsulfate, PAPS. Phosphoadenosine phosphorsulfate is the active sulfate utilized for several reactions. Synthesis of the GAG, glycosaminoglycans. PAPS active sulfate adds sulfuric acid into GAGs, glycosaminoglycans, or in phenols for detoxification. Sulfates are also important in detoxification mechanism. Production of the indoxyl sulfate, which is a detoxination. sulfur containing amino acid methionine, S-adenosyl methionine. It is actively involved in the transmethylation reaction. Transmethylation, transfer of methyl group, means degradation of metabolism of certain amino acid. It acts as the transmethylation, transfer of the methyl group. Dietary requirements and sources. There is no specific dietary requirement of sulfur. Why? Because adequate intake of sulfur containing essential amino acids methionine. Methionine is essential amino acid. Nutritionally essential, it means that it is essential in the diet and body can't synthesize it. It will meet the body needs. If you have the sufficient amount of methionine amino acids in your diet, there is no need of sulfur. And the food proteins rich in methionine and cysteine are the sources of sulfur. So the proteins which we took, which are rich in the methionine and cysteine, these become the sources of sulfur. Methionine, it is a non-polar straight chain sulfur containing amino acid. It is essential, so that it is essential in diet because body can't synthesize the methionine, and its dietary sources are eggs, nuts, fish, meat, cereal grains, and the fruits and vegetables contain small amounts of sulfur. The large amount is in the dairy, eggs, nuts, fish and meat and cereal grains. Then the cysteine. It's also non-essential amino acid. It's non-essential. It's not essential. It means that body can synthesize the cysteine. Two molecules of cysteine on being oxidized can combine with each other through covalent sulfur-sulfur or SS linkage, which is called the disulfide linkage, forming the dimer compound cysteine. It takes part in the synthesis of the glutathione, which acts as an antioxidant. Two cysteine molecules, amino acids, are oxidized to form cysteine. And glutathione is formed by three amino acids: glutamic acid, cysteine, and glycine. It acts as an antioxidant. It's a sulfur-containing compound. Glutathione is an important antioxidant in plants and animals, and it prevents damage to the important cellular compounds caused by the ROS, reactive oxygen species. ROS, reactive oxygen species, such as the free radicals and peroxides. As we know that only half of the oxygen molecule is used, and the other is which is having the unpaired electron, and it can form the unwanted compounds, especially in the cell wall. Lipid peroxidation, it can damage the cell wall. So antioxidants are very much important for our body functioning. Now, how it is excreted out from the body? All the sulfur groups present in various molecules are ultimately oxidized in liver to sulfate group and excreted in the urine. And the total quantity of sulfur in urine is about 1 gram per day. And there are three categories of the excretion of the sulfur from the body. Number one is the inorganic sulfates. These are about the 80%. Majority is in the form of inorganic sulfates, about 80%. And this is proportional to the protein intake. How much intake? If the intake of protein will be more, the inorganic sulfate excretion of sulfur will be more, and if the intake of protein is less, then the inorganic sulfates excretion of sulfur will be less. Inorganic sulfur can be isolated by treating the urine with barium chloride. We can find it in the urine by treating the urine with the barium chloride, and in this way then the white barium sulfate is precipitated. So we can have the 80% of the inorganic sulfate in this way. Then the second form is the organic or ethereal sulfate. You can call it the conjugated sulfate. It constitutes only about the 10% of the urinary sulfate. 80% inorganic, 10% organic sulfate. And this fraction will be not give a direct precipitate with barium chloride. For this, urine is first boiled with the hydrochloric acid, and then barium chloride is added to produce the white precipitate of barium chloride. So directly it is not precipitated by the barium chloride. First the urine should be boiled by the hydrochloric acid. Tryptophan is converted to phenol and indoxal by intestinal bacteria. Tryptophan amino acid, it is converted to an detoxification material by the intestinal bacteria, and these are absorbed and conjugated with sulfates and excreted through the urine. Therefore, this represents the petrifactive activity in the intestine, and this fraction is increased in intestinal stasis. When there is no movement in the intestine, there will be the stasis. In this way, the growth of bacteria will be enhanced. वो ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. This part is also proportional to the protein intake. If we took the large amount of protein, this portion will also increase, and if we took the less amount of protein, this portion will be less. The Hartnup disease. Hartnup disease sorry, basically it is a plague-like symptoms in the Hartnup disease. It is disease of the amino acid degradation or amino acid catabolism. But here, because tryptophan, when there the absorption of the tryptophan is decreased, which is going to convert into the niacin. Niacin, as you know, it is the vitamin B3, and due to the deficiency of the niacin, the disease occurs the pellagra. Pellagra means 3Ds: dermatitis, diarrhea, dementia, and the 4D can occur when, if it is untreated, it can be 4D, the death. So Hartnup disease, it is due to the tryptophan, because tryptophan is going to convert into the niacin. And indican, it is basically used. Urinary indican levels are a measure of intestinal petrification, because we want to see the petrification in the intestine. So we will measure the level of the urinary indican. It will show us the level of the petrification. Then number 10, the neutral or unoxidized sulfur. Neutral or unoxidized sulfur. It constitutes 10% of total sulfate. Sulfur containing organic compounds such as amino acid, thiocyanates. Thiocyanates, these are the cyanides, when it conjugated with the thiosulfate, it becomes the thiocyanates. And urochrome or urobilin is generated from the degradation of the heme. Basically, the urochrome or urobilin, they are responsible for the yellow color of urine when there is the degradation of the heme into the bilirubin. This will not vary with diet, and in obstructive jaundice, taurocholic acid is excreted in urine, and hence this fraction is increased but in the obstructive jaundice. It is also increased in amino aciduria. Total sulfur content of urine is first estimated, from which inorganic and ethereal fractions are deducted to get the neutral sulfur content. Sulfur is also lost from the body in bile, hair and nails. Thank you very much. Next, inshallah, we will study the zinc, which is a micromineral. Okay, Allah Hafiz.